Welcome to Gospel Diaries, a platform that offers a unique avenue for artists to share their stories, as well as their thoughts, emotions, and personal journeys. Today's episode is especially meaningful because, honestly, it happened by pure happenstance. Nashville wasn't part of my plan, but God's timing has a funny way of rewriting itineraries. This unexpected layover turned into a divine appointment and an unforgettable conversation with Pastor Sam Franklin. Gospel Diaries, y'all. Listen, I'm in Nashville, Tennessee. We're back at it again. And if you look to my right, hopefully she'll be on your right, but generally the guests normally be on the left, but she's on my right. This is Pastor Sam Franklin. Most people look at her as a vocal supreme, but she has so much character and so much history behind what we see behind the camera. So we're so glad that we're getting ready to delve into her Gospel Diaries. How are you doing, Pastor Sam Franklin?
You already know, Eric, I am doing amazing. We just got out of a power-packed service on Sunday night, so y'all forgive my face ain't dusted and all that kind of stuff, because God really had his way.
Absolutely.
And this is where we are every Sunday night. I try not to miss, because I love being at Love Center South here in Nashville, Tennessee.
And you know, what stands out to me is that you had a core message today, and you spoke about life. So kind of define what life means to you.
Life to me, because, you know, I came from talking about I have set before you, you know, life and death, choose life. And that we don't even understand that God has already made a choice for us. It can be easy if we choose life. You know, when we speak about life, we always think about breath. But life is not just about breath. Life is simply choosing the right space at the right time for the right reason. You know, I don't get up just because it's another day. I get up because I want to fulfill what God has called me for. And there were times that I didn't think I would live. So every day I'm intentional about living. I'm intentional about smiling, intentional about spreading his gospel, intentional about loving somebody else. And I believe life speaks to you and means to you what your experiences allow it to mean.
And recently, you've had a name change at the church, right?
Yes.
What's the story behind it?
Uh-oh.
Hey,
Y'all sure y'all want you sure you want to hear it?
You're welcoming people, right?
Absolutely.
Right.
And I ain't got no shame in my game.
Yes.
When we started the church, we're in our 11th year. Actually, shameless plug, we will be celebrating our 11th year anniversary December 14th right here in Nashville, Tennessee. And when we began in 2014, we actually began in prayer. And then my former spouse, God said, start the church, and we did. And I always knew that it was going to be center love, some kind of love in it, because I am the product of, you know, Bishop Walter L. Hawkins and Love Center Ministries in Oakland, California. And so I'm a conglomerate of my second spiritual father, which is the late great Reverend Dr. Clay Evans, and then Bishop Walter Hawkins, and also Elder Willie James Campbell, and the one and only Bishop Iona Locke. So I am a mixture of all of them, but spent the most time gleaning the pastorate from Bishop Walter Hawkins. And so we named the church Kingdom Love Worship Center. And when I tell you, it was absolutely phenomenal. We had an amazing choir. We grew, you know how that is. Everything that's new grows in its first year. But entering into our second year, I experienced a divorce. And it devastated the church, it devastated the people. A lot of our members had mama, but mostly daddy issues. And so we started our church with the parental model. and a lot of them looked at him as spiritual, father. And so for sons, when their father leaves, it's devastating. And so from there, I think we went through about 4 splits.
Wow.
Yeah, and in the year 2001, God said, I want you to continue the work that I sent you there for, because I've always felt I couldn't pastor unless I was, married or whatever, because this is the South, and it's not as liberal as Chicago or New York or East Coast or even in California. And God said, I want you to continue your spiritual father's work. And I was like, okay. And he said, Love Center South. And so I called the family that was still living at that time and asked them, did they mind if I assumed Love Center name and became the Southern version or, extension, and they all agreed.
Love it.
And we've been Love Center South ever since. I have a few other people that operate under Love Center Global, and here we are, 11 years later. Started out one way, but every time, hey, glory to God, we just got out of church, so I got to be careful. But every time God is getting ready to elevate you, he changes your name. Abram and Sarah, that's who they were before the birth of Isaac. But after that, they became Abraham and Sarah. Every time God is getting ready to do something new or elevation, he changes your name. And so we were obedient, and we have seen, we've seen an entire church change. There probably are only maybe 5 original members, but God has been kind to us. And I am loving pastoring again.
And we still live in a society where misogynistic society.
Absolutely.
Most people underappreciate the strength behind a woman.
Absolutely.
And the characteristics of a woman. So I want to ask you, in the city, how do you connect with other pastors and people in ministry as being a woman?
I don't.
Oh, okay. That was simple.
Let me not say I don't. Let me not say I don't. I am very aware of where I am. This is the Bible Belt, but it is a very bound region. Female pastors aren't really welcomed as you would see in other regions. And I'm okay with that. Okay. I have a few pastors in the city that I know got my back, very few. The others, they say they have my back, and they really don't. And then there are others that are just jealous of who God has called us to be, because I'm not in this thing by myself. I didn't choose this life. And because I was raised in Chicago, born in Memphis, raised in Chicago, I'm very in your face. So you can't take me down. No, I'm not sleeping with you for a position. No, I'm not doing none of that. I'm going to stand in who God has called me to be, and we'll worry about the other, the minuscule things later. So I stay in my lane. I'm not trying to take nobody's members. This church has been very instrumental in First. We were the first African-American church in this African-American church or worship place to do 5 o'clock services on Saturdays. We started our ministry on 5 o'clock at 5 o'clock every 3rd Saturday. No other church here was doing that, and then all of the other churches started doing it. We have our church at 5 o'clock on Sundays. Then other churches are attempting to do that. So I'm okay being a trendsetter.
You took the words, you snatched the word.
I'm okay being a trendsetter. I used to be mad and like, God, I sing like this one or better. I pay my dues and, but I've watched, the praise flipping and all of that. I knew God, when he gave that to us, to our church, and how God would give me songs while I was going through divorce that we would sing at a different tempo, and we would sing to the praise tempo, and then people start flipping songs, and now they're just flipping everything. I know there was a seed that God gave me to plant, and so I don't have to be jealous. I just watch seeds grow and sprout up all over the world. That's what my bishop told me before he died. He said, I'm not going to die because I've planted seeds all over the world, and I can say the same thing. I see the seeds that are sprouting up all over the world. I think the misconception is a lot of people think I'm in my 30s and my 40s, but I'm 57 years old, and I did my first.
So you were born in the 60s?
I was born in the 60s. I was born in the 60s, y'all.
And I good.
Thank you. But I remember I was 17 years old when I did my first studio session in Chicago, working with Percy Beatty and some R&B artists at 17. So I have officially been in this industry for 40 years.
I'm grateful that you brought that up because we have to get into some history now because I'm just having a wonderful time just conversating
Thank
with you.
you.
But we want to set the record straight.
Uh-oh.
So most people know you from Love Center.
Absolutely.
But you don't start there.
I didn't start there.
And you taught me something already. I didn't know that you were born in Memphis. But however, let's talk about Memphis, and then let's talk about your influence in Chicago.
I was born in Memphis in 1968. My family, it was 2 sisters and 1 brother, and we migrated to Chicago in 69. So I was young when we moved, but I came back every summer until I was 18. Every summer I was in Memphis, Tennessee, until I was 18, and so I learned about Memphis. I knew about, Bishop Ford and not Bishop Ford, but Bishop Mason. My mother went to school with one of Bishop Mason's first wife, I believe. Before one of them died, I think. And my mother went to school. I mean, it was just a lot of things that I knew about. Ford Funeral Home is what I'm trying to say. One of the first drive-through funeral homes in Memphis. I knew about Jack Purtle Chicken and Liberty Land and the baseball team and Crystal Palace skating rink because I grew up, for 18 years spending my summers and holidays there. And so my father was a quartet singer in Memphis.
I can't think of his first name right now. And this was Reverend Woods, one of the associate ministers. Oh, wow. Do you know San Franklin?
Yeah.
This is her father.
No way.
Yeah, that's Fran's. That's Fran, and what's my other girl's name? KK. That's their dad.
Yes, there was a group called Traveling All Stars in Memphis, Tennessee. Him and Uncle Charles and my uncle William Glasper. And they all migrated to Chicago. Okay. And so when he was in Chicago, him and I don't know if you know Jeff Robinson. Shout out to Dr. Jeff Robinson, AI specialist. Jeff and I, we're very, very close. Our fathers founded the group in Chicago called Victory Travelers.
Deacon Reuben Burton?
Yes, Reuben and my father were best friends.
What's your father? What was your
Deacon Ben Franklin. Everybody knew Ben. That was my dad.
Okay.
Yes, and so I grew up sitting at quartet programs, with my mom. And people always talk about my squaw. I learned it, honestly. I'm a quartet girl, And then from there, we were at the Mount Olive Baptist Church, Reverend Willie Hall. And it was a musical church. And from there, my sister KK and Gail, they sang with the Lennox family, Queenie Lennox and Lamont and Kelvin.
Now, were they with the group, Love Fellow? What was the name of the group?
Love Holiness.
Okay.
It started out as Youth Holiness at Lynn Bloom High School,
yeah.
and then they turned it into Love Holiness. I actually went to Lynn Bloom, and so I followed them around for a long time. I ended up singing in Love Holiness too, but when my sister KK was about 16, she left the church where we were at, and she went to, my mother allowed her to go to fellowship. And then we came my family came a few years later, and she actually married Reverend Evans' son, which was his nephew, Stevie, the organist, one of the baddest organists that you'll ever hear. Stevie Stewart.
Exactly.
That's my brother, that was my brother-in-law. So we were intertwined in the family, and that's how, people say, I didn't know you, that, yeah. And so back in fellowship, we were all a family, and so that's my nephew's uncle, Reverend Evans, and so we all were one big family. Fellowship was just like that, and so then I joined a group called Brian Jones and Chosen.
You did not
Yes,
sing with
I
Brian.
did.
Brian,
Yes,
she
I
didn't
did.
Sing with you.
Yes, I did.
You wanna walk this road to glory?
I was a part of Brian Jones and Chosen. I did some spots with Percy Gray in Scriptures. Before he did, yes, it was Scriptures. Scriptures was the first group.
Chapter Ministries?
Chapter Ministries,
Okay.
but before then they were Scriptures, Percy Gray and Scriptures. And I did this song, No Turning Back, that Orlando Draper later recorded. And then, y'all, I sang in Chicago Mass. Before it was Chicago Mass, it was James Chambers and ECC. And I sang with the choir.
80s
I recorded on their very first album, Everybody Let's Praise the Lord. At the time, he was Courtney Duncan. Yes. And we recorded that song, and from there, I got a chance to start working with Percy, with Cynthia Nunn, all of the different Diaries, all of the different producers in Chicago, and life just,
You're true to this.
I'm true to this. I've been in this thing a long time, and so, your Kim McFarland's, your Faith Howard's, your Light of Love, your Carl Adair's, your Cedric Ford and the Ford brothers. We all came up together. David Hollister and I. We our siblings. We went to high school together. We've been together since we were in 8th grade, and so we ended up out in Oakland, California together. And
Before we go there.
Okay, before we go there.
Hi, Eric Maurice Clark here, sharing ways that you can support Gospel Diaries. First and foremost, thank you so much for your interest in this platform, and let's support every artist that appears on this program. All right, so we do have a magazine. It's entitled The Gospel Music Gazette, and you can obtain a copy by going to ericmauriceclark.com. That will help us share and help spread our purpose here at Gospel Diaries. Also, you can donate by way of Zelle, CashApp, or traditionally through mail. We do appreciate you, and as I always say, love on someone and you will change your life. Bye. Hey, touch your neighbor. You have to give me one of your fondest memories aboard the ship.
One of my fondest memories of fellowship is when Reverend Evans used to preach. We call him preacher. That's what we called him. And he would sing, Father, I stretch my hand to thee. He would say, take it from me, Frank. Frank was my dad, Benjamin Franklin. My father would say, no. That's one of my fondest memories of fellowship, because he would trust my father to finish the Dr. Watt before he preached. And so I grew up a little different from most because I had such a rich history. So because of that, I'm not moved by much. Reverend Evans, and then Elder Willie James Campbell, Jesse Campbell.
So you were a member of St. James too?
No, I went to fellowship, and then we went to St. James, and then we came back to fellowship.
Oh, you
I went to broadcast, but because of that, Jesse, Darnell, Bridget, all of us, that's where we would go, and we all became family. At the time, that John wasn't preaching then, John was singing in the choir. John Hannah was singing in the choir, and it's just, when I look back at my history, I'm like, God, I didn't even know where I was going to go. None of us knew who we were going to be, and we are that now, and so we still love each other. We still joke. We still, Ricky and I remember Ricky came up to me and said, Sam, come sing with me in New G so I can make you a star. I said, can't nobody make me a star but God, and we still laugh about that today. Chicago's heritage is so rich, and so I'm thankful for my connections still in Chicago. My booking manager is Reginald Ayers. Reggie, he's Mark's manager, and he's been with, and I've been with Reggie, shout out to you, Reg, and Ayers Management Company. I'm just so grateful for such a rich heritage in Chicago. Nothing can take that away from me, and it actually prepared me for California. The Hawkins used to come to Chicago all the time, and I felt nothing. Didn't want to have nothing to do with them. Didn't like them. None of that. Liked their music, but I wasn't a Hawkins girl. But my sister moved to California, and I went through a heartbreak. You've been
through a heartbreak before?
Baby, please. Heartbreak was my middle name at one time. But no, for real. That breakup, I've always wanted to be married, because that's all I saw. That's all I knew. And in 1990, I went through a devastating heartbreak. And I called myself, I said, I'm gonna go to California and get well, and then I'm gonna go to Detroit and go to Wayne State University and get my bachelor's. And I went to California after attending DePaul.
Okay.
And I ended up staying.
Okay. And what area? Are we in the Bay Area immediately when you were?
Immediately.
Why?
It's just my sister was there.
Okay.
And I was with her and I was like, I'm gonna go back and get ready. And God said, join Love Center. I was like, no. Do you know what they say about that church? Because I thought, y'all forgive the noise, they still upstairs shouting.
Still shouting.
Because I thought that because I had never experienced this lifestyle, that I was too good to be in a place for people who were open and free to love God in the way that they knew how. And God said, this is where I want you. I was going to join Bishop Gordon Humphrey's church because he was from Chicago. It was Olivet, you know. And I would go to Olivet, and then God said, join Love Center. And I cried. That third Sunday, on my third visit, I cried going up to the altar.
So what was one of the meanest things that you heard from someone?
That it was a gay church.
Okay.
It was the gay church.
Okay.
And I was like, I don't want anybody to think that about me. And then I remember the first Sunday I went there, and it was their anniversary. And Bishop Dennis Meredith was preaching.
Okay.
Because he was in Oakland. He was pastor of Mount Calvary at the time.
Yeah.
And there was this guy who got up to testify about how God had brought him to Love Center. And he got up there in a suit, tall, slender guy, And he said, y'all know when I came here, glory to God. He said, y'all know when I came here, my name was Rita Ross. He said, I was wearing my suits, I was wearing my church hats, I was wearing my stockings and my heels. He said, but the love of God that this man showed me, he said, now I know who I am. He talked about contracting HIV and always wanting to be married to a female. And he said, y'all know, I don't know how much time I have. He said, but I'm engaged and her name is, and he gave us her name. And that testimony of Minister Gordon changed my life. I then knew that God loved me, and not only me, but he loved everybody in spite of what man says about them. I never knew that God put me at Love Center to be able to carry a ministry of love in a place where everybody who thinks other than the traditionalists are going to hell. And so I learned how to carry it well when we started. I was married and we were still known as the gay church. And what you gonna do about it? I have one of our members, her little niece is about 2 years old, and she's speaking to her mother, and she said, what you gonna do about it? What you gonna do about it? What you gonna do about it? She kept saying that. And so when we started, I said, I don't care. And that's when God said, I have given you the same ministry that Bishop Walter Hawkins had.
Let me ask you this, from your perspective, from your own eyes, did you see the industry treat Pastor Walter Hawkins, different for Love Center Church?
I didn't see the industry do it because it would have been quite hypocritical.
I like you. You talk real. You ain't scared, huh?
Of nothing and nobody. What could the industry say?
Right.
About a church that was open to everyone, no matter what their sexual preference was. Because most of the industry is hiding behind who they really are with their music.
And I have a problem when churchgoers, they choose who to accept and who to push away.
Absolutely.
Because truth be told, everyone knows what's going on.
Everybody knows what's going on.
So why are we picking and choosing who we want to embrace? And
because anything, and I'm gonna take my hat off on this one, and I'm putting it back on. Anything we cannot control, we try to kill.
Yes, ma'am.
And a lot of people send, let's say the homosexual, they send homosexuals to hell because if I learn to love or if I hear conversation about it, then I have to expose who I really am. A lot of times people, what they wrestle with, they hide behind by hating it or perpetuating hate when it's really they don't want to be exposed.
Wait.
Ain't scared of nobody. Huh?
Listen
Ain't
here.
scared of nobody.
Listen here. We about to go to some music because we ain't trying to get in trouble, okay?
No, we're not gonna get in trouble. I ain't scared of
just
nobody.
kidding.
No, I know. But I think if we would allow people to live in their truth
That's right.
and who they are, I preach Jesus, and I don't preach in people's bedrooms because I don't want nobody in mine. Now I ain't got no woman up in there, but I've had people's husbands in there. And other people's boyfriends. And
But look at you.
I thank God. You know, I've been divorced, and so been a victim of domestic violence, and so I'm very careful at who's.
Let's not run away from domestic violence.
Yeah.
When you say domestic violence, how intense was the domestic violence?
How intense? On a scale of 1 to 10, 45.
Wait, you passed 10.
45.
Okay.
I've gotten thrown into stoves and walls and glass shattered from being thrown into a stove. I've gotten my hand crushed and choked, all of that. And a lot of people wouldn't believe that because of my persona, and I'm very, very strong. And I'm a fighter. I love to fight. I'll fight a nigga in a minute. Oops, can I say that? I'll fight a nigga in a minute. Not a man, I'm just talking about a person. But seeing my mother in marriage, I feel that one of the most disrespectful things a woman could do is strike a man. So I wanted, even though I was being abused, I didn't want to take his dignity from him. Ain't that something? Still covering when I'm being hurt. Until I was like, God, this thing is killing me. And he said, it's no longer murder, it's suicide because I told you to leave. It's no longer murder, it's suicide because I gave you permission to leave. But I was too worried about what the church gonna say about the preacher, the evangelist getting divorced. And now I don't give a rat's behind on what the church is gonna say about my life because I understand that my times are in his hand. And that there are so many other people who are in bondage and they are not free. I don't care whether I got money, whether I'm broke as all get out. What I do live is a free life.
That's powerful. There's a song, In the Nick of Time. Hi, Eric Maurice Clark here, sharing ways that you can support Gospel Diaries. First and foremost, thank you so much for your interest in this platform, and let's support every artist that appears on this program. All right, so we do have a magazine. It's entitled The Gospel Music Gazette, and you can obtain a copy by going to ericmauriceclark.com. That will help us share and help spread our purpose here at Gospel Diaries. Also, you can donate by way of Zelle, CashApp, or traditionally through mail. We do appreciate you, and as I always say, love on someone and you will change your life. Bye. How did that song come about?
Bishop Walter Hawkins was preparing for Love Alive 5. I wasn't singing in the choir anymore. I had vowed I would not sing in another choir because Chicago is choir country. And he came to me, he said, I had a dream. He said, and in this dream you were singing this song. And I was like, okay. And I was like, well, this is Bishop Walter Hawkins. By this time, I had been at the church for a while. I was traveling with him. I was his armor bearer. So I would travel with him when he would preach and all that kind of stuff. And he said, I want you to hear it. He was also one of my best friends. And he said, I want you to hear it. I was like, I don't like this song. And I didn't, but I recorded it because I was being obedient to my pastor. But I've lived that song. I've lived him coming just in the nick of time.
That was my introduction to you. And I hope I don't, because I'm an emotional person.
It's okay, me
I'm
too.
just being so honest with you. This is
You're
the truth.
passionate.
Yeah.
They call it emotional, but we're passionate about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm at one of my friend's house, and he has the VHS tape. And I'm just watching the entire concert, and then the nick of time comes on. It took so much out of me just to just keep to compose myself.
Wow.
Because of the way you ad-lib, the energy that you put in the song, you would never have thought just listening to the song that you was not accepted to the song at first.
Was not.
So where did you pull the energy from?
True story. Bishop Walter Hawkins is a genius at perfecting live recordings, and we record the same exact thing 2 nights in a row. So we recorded that Friday and we recorded that Saturday. If you ever look at the thank you video of Love Alive 4, when Yvette Flunder was singing thank you, when she first started the song and sang the 2 verses, she had on a black jacket with a red shirt. When it comes to the bridge, she had on a sequins dress. And that's because they take the best of both nights and combine it. Wow. Genius, right? And so that first night, I was like, yeah, you know, I wasn't at my best. I didn't like the song. And then that second night, I was a little hoarse. And big brother Donnie McClurkin, and Donnie, he said, San, you got this. He said, drink you some water. He said, and put your testimony into it. And that second take.
I was lost in my sin.
I was lost in my sin.
But what happened?
No, I was losing the battle, but without a doubt, Jesus brought me out. Chains held me so tight. I was fighting with all my might. Then in that dark hour, he what? Sent his healing power. He came. Yes, he did. Yeah.
Do you ever get tired of singing that song?
I hadn't sang that song in years until a few weeks ago. And I'm actually going to re-record that song. I'm going to put it on my upcoming music because I think I owe that to Bishop Walter Hawkins because that song saved my life.
Now you have to share your memories of Love Alive. Like, okay, let's go here. So as a child, you grew up, you knew about Love Alive, right?
Oh God, my first song I ever sang, this is the irony of God. The first song I ever sang in church when I was 6 years old was, come by here, good Lord, come by here, right? In the Rainbow Choir at my church. And I got to the part, somebody needs you, Lord, come, and I broke down. And the whole church just started crying. And, you know, that's when I realized there was something on my life. There was something different in my singing. And that I had a call on my life because me asking God to come by here did something in my belly. And every time I get up to minister, to preach, to prophesy, that thing that I felt when I said, somebody needs you, it's there.
It's there. It's still there.
51 years later.
There. Oh.
That was my introduction to the Hawkins. And so some years later to end up there and me become a sprouted seed of his is amazing.
Do you know that I put it like this, some people are in history because they simply lived. But then you have people that are in history because they impact history. You are a part of the crowd that has impact history. Your voice, your ministry is indelible. It can never be erased. It's invaluable. You're still pumping out inspiration. Look this. The musician got off the where you see that at? And you can tell that he was sincere about his praise. So that lets you know that it comes from the leader. Where did this leadership come from?
The breaking of God.
So sometimes you have to be broken.
All the time. To be a great leader, you have to be broken as a great follower. The greatest leader is nothing but the glorified greatest servant. And so I've been broken to serve.
You're so beautiful.
Thank you.
Give me this is amazing. This is
Thank
so
you.
amazing. Hi, Eric Maurice Clark here, sharing ways that you can support Gospel Diaries. First and foremost, thank you so much for your interest in this platform, and let's support every artist that appears on this program. All right, so we do have a magazine. It's entitled The Gospel Music Gazette, and you can obtain a copy by going to ericmauriceclark.com. That will help us share and help spread our purpose here at Gospel Diaries. Also, you can donate by way of Zelle, CashApp, or traditionally through mail. We do appreciate you, and as I always say, love on someone and you will change your life. Bye. Let's move on. Let's move on. So, give us some of your happy times at Love Fellowship,
Love Center.
Love Center.
Most of my time was happy at Love Center because it was definitely, it lived up to its name. It was a happy place, and my church is actually a little Love Center. I tried the same model, servant leadership. I laugh with my members. I do life with my members. I'm careful, but I do life with my members. I never want them to think that their pastor is untouchable and that I'm above them. I'm with them. I serve them. Every Sunday I'm on the altar with them, not from a pulpit preaching to them. I'm living with them. And so I loved Love Center. It was being part of the Hawkins family was one of the funniest experiences of my life. And it was just great. Even Joe Smith, the drummer Joe, his sister became a part of my family, and it's just a great, and I think one of the fondest memory of me and Bishop Hawkins' relationship. I used to travel with him, and so, we loved clothes and fashion and all this kind of stuff. My mother, she was a clinical psychologist and a Sunday school teacher and all this kind of stuff, but she also owned a tailoring business. So I've been into clothes since I was like 2, right? And me and Bishop were in Dallas, Texas, y'all. We were in this long stretch limousine, and we were getting out. We was sharp, it was when we were going to the mall. Y'all, I got out the limousine, but my shoe heel stayed in the limousine. And Bishop, we laughed about that thing to the day he died. I learned that pastoring was not always about celebrating your members, but sometimes it was about chastising them. I remember I went through a situation and he came to my house. And he chastised me. And I received it in love. And it brought us closer because he was able to be honest with me and I was able to be open with him. He told me, he said, as amazing as a singer you are, you're very insecure. And I was. And I still wrestle with insecurity because, I wasn't the chosen one, people chosen this one. But I also know that I've never had to play the payola game. And I don't care if I ever chart on an album, I can look at the souls that God has allowed me to minister to. I've been nominated in every category, not with my own music necessarily, but with somebody's music that I'm arranging or some vocal that I'm singing on, in every category of music, a work that I've been on or have been blessed to be on has been nominated. One year, there were 5 different projects in different genres at the Grammys, and they all were nominated. 3 of them won, and I had contributed work to all of those records. So
You were part of
TSU.
Right.
I was one of the producers on that album. I was co-produced that album, and so that album won a Grammy. And for those of you all who say, just because you did Vogue standing don't mean you, I helped produce over 63% of that album, so I am well aware of what it takes to get a Grammy. Amen. And so, the right way, and that was amazing. It was amazing for the school because TSU was also the first college campus I ever stepped foot on when I was getting ready to work on another album.
Well, so what I'm trying to bring out of you is, so there's an album from, is it 2016?
2020.
The
Free Project.
Was it one in 2016?
I did Blessing Me. I did the single. No,
And
you're talking
that's
about
one with
something
Crystal.
bigger.
Okay.
You're
okay,
talking about something
okay,
bigger.
okay.
God's gonna
Yes.
do something. Yeah, that was in 2015. I released that, but my first single was Arise,
Okay.
written by Joe Buckner, and we released that. I think maybe in like 2000 and maybe 5 or something like that. So I've been helping everybody else. I've worked with From the Greatest to the Least, Blessing Me. That was one of the singles. That was my first single from the Free Project, which was my which was my debut album. That was my first full-length album. And it's crazy because I just had a meeting yesterday, and I'm going to take some of those songs and re-release them on the new project. Yeah, and it's crazy that we're saying that because I live a life of freedom. You know, one of the most prolific songs on that album is called "I Choose Free." People's like, why you didn't say I choose to be free? I said because that makes it situational. I choose to be free in this, or I choose to be free in that. Saying I choose free means there are no boundaries.
Wow. And there's also there's a song. Is it a group called Revelation that you do? Was it a group called Revelation?
Yes, in California.
Talk a little bit about
I wasn't a part of Revelation. I was like a spiritual advisor.
Okay.
Leonard Bailey
Yeah.
in Revelations. I was a spiritual advisor to Revelations, and I used to do Talk It Over with Jesus. And I really want to do that song again. Leonard was a very, very, like a godson to me and a brother at the same time. And I did a lot of ministry with Revelations, with Peace Gospel Choir, Zelle, Ely and Friends, you know, the Bay Area, Northern Cal, you know. That was a special time for me. Oakland shaped me and prepared me to come here. And nothing prepared me like Oakland. You know, Chicago, like in the demonstration I did, you know, you sit here, but it's all about being elevated. And even at that last chair, it was different and it wasn't as comfortable as the others, but it was the last elevation, you know. And so Memphis to Chicago. Chicago prepared me for California. California prepared me for the pastorate.
So why Nashville? Like literally.
At the time, I was married,
Okay.
and it was closer. His family was from the East Coast. It was a happy medium for both of us. We both were into music, and so the late great Derek Lee said, "If you come here, I'll make sure, you know, that you're all right." And I was like, "Okay." And my former husband is an amazing musician, so he came here. He started playing with Bobby Jones. I started singing lead with Bobby on some dates, toured overseas with him. And it was just the place that we needed to be. From there, I became a background contractor. And I had already worked with quite a few people in California, but Nashville was that place for me. I produced vocals for Paul Morton, Aretha Franklin, Kenny Loggins, Jill Scott. Didn't produce for her, but did work with her. I've worked with, just about everybody you can name, you know, in all genres of music. I think one of my highlights probably was doing vocals for Kenny Loggins.
The country singer?
Kenny Loggins, the pop singer.
Oh, the pop.
This is it.
I'm thinking.
Make no mistakes. Yeah, Michael McDonald, you know. Yeah.
So listen, so we did get that out the way. So I have to embrace this time. We must know this because it's no secret.
Okay.
You don't run from controversial talk. And there was a situation that just recently occurred about someone at your church. Can you talk about that? Talk about the situation.
From what I know of the situation, there was a member of my church who I love very dearly. He's no longer a member here, but I love him very, very dearly. Always have. He is someone that most people would ostracize because of his past and maybe because of his future, but he's always been very special to me, very funny guy, and he's always loved Pastor Sam. However, there was incidents and accusations that came up. And when I found out about it, somebody texted me and was like, he's online exposing da-da-da-da. And I immediately called him and said, this is not the way to do it. Because as pastor, to him, my job is to cover him. as ecclesia in the kingdom, my job is to cover my fellow ecclesia. And so I was caught between a rock and a hard place. But from that first live that I was invited to by him, and I wasn't really invited by him. When the people told me that he was on there, I got on there to tell him to get off. And it started a conversation. It was an unfortunate conversation because I was asked to have conversation with both. My job has always been, my anointing is a conduit. And that a conduit is a thorough way, a way to get through something. And so I wanted to bring both parties together. Let's come together, let us reason together. And it didn't happen like that. Unfortunately, my pastoral counsel wasn't received. And what I tried to explain, even if it's true, let's say it's true, because I'm not here to judge either side. Let's say it's true. You cannot ask him to come out of his pulpit. That is God's job to judge. And so he didn't quite understand that. And he began to, I want to use the right words and be very wise. Sometimes the intoxication from attention can lead us down a dangerous path. And it took him to a very dark place. And he was calling and calling, and the Lord said, don't answer. And then he came to church one Sunday after the other pastor came to church, which I had no idea he was coming. And then he texted me about 10 minutes, 15 minutes before our service and asked, could he come? Well, I'm a person that does not believe in, hey, this is my church. And so I asked my board, I asked the core, what do you guys think? Because I don't want to be hypocritical. And they's like, let him come. And he came. That Sunday, I didn't know that the other party was going to show up too. So sometimes it's a person's perception is their reality. So what it could look like was that I let this man who's been accused of this wrong in the pulpit and didn't let my member in church, and that's not what happened. There had been a threat to my member the night before that had nothing to do with our church. There had been a threat on his life. Whether it was real or fake, that's not my place to judge. But I have a church to protect. And so at that time, I could not allow him here because the person said, I know what church you go to, I'll see you tomorrow night. Just so happened, it was the same day that the pastor came. And so I can see how it could have made me look like I turned my back or I wasn't faithful to him as a pastor. But also, when I told him that he could not judge or he could not give a sentence to the other party, he said, I'm no longer a part of your church. So he removed himself. And so when you remove yourself, I'm no longer obligated to cover you. But I still cover him now. He's been coming back to church. And I told him, you better act right. And I better not see that phone, you know. And I remember the first time he asked me, could he come back? I didn't respond because the Lord told me he's going to show up. And when I pulled in the parking lot, they had already texted me and said he's here. And when I pulled up, he was leaving. I said, where are you going? He said, they don't want me in there. I said, but I do. I said, get your butt in church. I said, you better act right. That's the love language I have. I love it. Pulling people back to God. Because you know, I was 25 before. And I'm Baptist, so I got to be careful what I say. I did some dumb stuff when I was 25. And so who am I to say, you 25 and you did this and it's unforgivable? I can't do it. So I'm still continuing to pray for both parties.
You know, you're involved in so much because you have to manage your relationship as a pastor with your parishioners, and then also you're in the industry. So this leads me to my last question about industry, and then we're going to ask you about your future plans for the ministry. But how do you decipher industry friends versus people that you allow in your personal space?
Oh, that was through it all. I've learned. It was trial and error. Because I am not a person. I have learned that I'm actually an extroverted introvert in my older age, when all of my life I've been an extrovert. I love people. we don't know what those terms mean. We think we do. We think an introvert is somebody who just stays in, and an extrovert is somebody who just likes to hang out. No, an extrovert is somebody who recharges and gets their energy from people. And an introvert is somebody who recharges and gets their energy from being alone. And so in ministry, you know how you hear people say ministry is a very lonely place? I understand that now. Because the higher you go, you find out people's motives. Even people that you love hard. And I'm a very hard lover. And I don't walk with as many people as I started this journey on. However, I do have the same best friends. I have 3 sets of best friends. One set, we've been best friends for 57 years. We're 23 days apart. And the other one, she's 56. We're a year apart. And so we're still best friends. The next set, we've been best friends since we were 10 and 13 years old. We've been friends for 40-something years. I still have that set of best friends. And then my next best friends, Alfreda Lyons Campbell with her singing self, and Pastor Karen. We've been best friends for 35 years. They're still my best friends. And then I have those people who God has sent me that I know not only have my back, but they have my heart. I used to think it was all about having my back, but you can have my back. I need you to have my heart, because that's what keeps the people coming. People who also have my heart.
All right. So last but not least, y'all.
You
have the church here. You have been, first of all, this is 11 years, because next month you're celebrating the 11th year anniversary. So what does the future look like? Do you have anything in mind, or are you kind of just kind of blindly going through? Like, so what do the future look like for Love Centers?
11 years is the year of controversy. Well, not controversy, that's not the correct biblical word to use, but chaos is what the number 11 can represent biblically. But it also represents the number of administration and elevation. And so in this 11th year, I am expecting God to settle us. What that looks like for Love Center is a space, our own space. We've been here for 4 years. We had our own space until COVID. And that kind of changed everything, which we didn't understand then, because it was 6,000 plus square feet. We had we did that and renovated that place from our hands. You know, we didn't have to bring in contractors, and the divorce kind of, started then. Then we had to come out codes and stuff during COVID, and we haven't owned our own building since then. But in this 11th year, I'm looking for God to wow my mind. I thank God. Shout out to Pastor Kerry James, who has allowed us to be here. But I just recently moved to another area after being in the same area for 23 years, and 85% of our church lives in that same area. And so it's a no-brainer for me. And so I'm looking for a space in that area. My business is going to be launching with my church. Yay! It's been a long 4-year wait, y'all, but God is doing some things. And so I am excited about teaching people how to live.
How to live.
You started
What's the
this thing
man's name? Because every time he hear live, he just takes off right around the church.
Emmanuel.
Thank you so much for your run.
That's one of my armor bearers. You asked me, what does living look like to me? That's what living looks like to me. Being able to do all things well in the time that God's instructing you to do them. And so this is the time for me to continue the ministry of Bishop Walter Hawkins. I not only have Love Center South, but I have Love Center Global. And I have some pastors under me, and I'm excited about this next season for us. And I really can't say what the enemy meant for evil. God turned it around for my good. And we're not going nowhere. What you gonna do about it?
You heard her. Listen,
what you gonna do about it?
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I will never forget this. Well, of course, it's on camera. But however, I just wanted to take a moment to kind of delve into your gospel history, because I wanted to do it with dignity and respect. Because I want people to, people are going to study you, posthumously, and I just want to make sure that there is enough information so people can understand where you come from and know your heart. So I appreciate this moment. I mean, is there anything else you want to say?
I appreciate you going to the depths that you did to reach me, because I usually don't answer texts on Sundays. But this was written in eternity. And I thank God I got the chance to kind of share who I am, because a lot of people, they really don't know, and I'm just excited about this and what you're doing. I was like, because I know who he has interviewed, and I'm just grateful to be in the number.
Oh, you saw some of my interviews before?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Everybody don't get to interview Shirley Caesar and Dorothy Norwood every day.
Listen, I went to her house.
I went to her house.
Listen, y'all, we're about to get up out of here. As I always say, love on someone and change your life. And we'll see you guys later. Tell the people bye.
God bless y'all. Follow me on Instagram.
Yes.
Listen, this is a big thing for me, because I am one of the least self-promoters that you'll ever find. But I'm trying to get better. But you can follow me on all social media outlets, Sam Franklin.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and by the way, she has a song on Q Collier's new project. It's entitled Reflection. But the song is I'm Still Here.
I'm still here.
If you all haven't heard it, I recommend you to put it in your playlist and enjoy it. And until next time, we'll see you later. Bye.
Bye, y'all. Bye.
I know we was trying. He came up and I was like, shh. And they was silent for like 2 seconds. And then they.
All I heard was she at the interview. I said, yeah.
Excuse me, sir. What's your name? What's your name?
Christian.
Dude, you sang into my soul today. And then you broke it down with the quartet thangy thing. Dude, thank you,
Quartet
sir.
thangy thing is crazy.
Thank you. And you can show enough play those drums.
This is one of my Elijah's. I'm trying to prepare him and get him ready, because it won't always be like this. God will perfect that concerning me. Sooner or later, it's gonna turn in your favor. You'll be pastoring the Love Center South.
Love it.
That's my best friend Karen. 35 years.
She mentioned you.
Oh,
She did. She mentioned you. Okay.
okay. And that's my oldest sister Val.
Hey, you got me to give $7.
She used to be the administrator of Love Center.
Oh, really? Okay. How you pull $7 out of me? I gave more, but still.
I put $7 out of me. I was like,